I joined the industry in early 2009. I spent a fair bit of time in WA and then in the Northern Territory. I ran a business up there called Glass Australia. We were renowned for glass and aluminium systems up there.
From your side on what you're doing, what is it that you guys do best?
I think it's the innovation side. They are innovators of hardware and they have been a long time. We had a bit of a stroll through the factory earlier. We had a look at some of the products that started it all off, and from there things have grown.
How did the Alchinlong Group come about?
I think that it was an opportunity that was seen to create hardware. That was first. So colonial castings were the first one, and from there they took a gamble on starting a new business venture to make aluminium hardware for windows and doors. We try really hard to not get pulled into price fighting for a cheaper product. That's not what it's about. It's about quality of product, longevity, and trying to find different ways to do things. Hey Google, open my window, or hey Google, close my door. So that's where we're at. We've got products getting shipped to the States, where we're working with the States, where the guys are installing power struts there with our control platform. So it's working. We're not quite sure which way it turns all the time, but we follow it.
Welcome to the Build Better podcast. This episode we have Niels Verhaar from Doric or Alchinlong Group. Niels, welcome. So Niels, just for those that may not know you in the industry, can you just talk a little bit about yourself, what you've done in the industry, and then go on and tell us about Alchinlong Group?
Sure. I joined the industry in early 2009. I spent a fair bit of time in WA and then in the Northern Territory. I ran a business up there called Glass Australia. We were renowned for glass and aluminium systems up there. And it was during that time I kind of got myself involved with designing of product. We were importing a lot of product from overseas at that point, and we started figuring out that there were a few gaps in the markets. And we looked at one in particular, Louvres, and that's how I got involved with the Ventus Louvre side. And during that journey, we crossed paths with Doric, became a distributor for Doric in Darwin, and along that journey, managed to find my way here.
Okay.
So now full-time in Doric in Sydney. Mm-hmm. Been here for just under 9 years. Loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it's a good fit.
Yes.
Here. And then I guess the Alchinlong Group, it's a pretty long-standing business. They established in 1969. It's two families, the Alchins and the Long, so it's a family business. And from there, it's grown into this quite a large group of companies. So ALG is the handle of the umbrella, and as you can see behind us, they now own AMS, Colonial Castings, Shield Safe, Lock and Roll. Ventus is now part of that as well, and the mother of that, Doric.
Okay. Yeah. And what would you say that Doric or Alchinlong Group does best? I know we've got multiple different companies here, but from your side on what you're doing, what is it that you guys do best?
I think it's the innovation side.
Yeah.
They are innovators of hardware, and they have been a long time.
Yeah.
We had a bit of a stroll through the factory earlier, and we had a look at some of the products that started it all off, and from there things have grown. They look at things a little differently, and the approach that they take is one of a long-term goal. It's not so much as a smash and grab. It's really, we're in the industry for a long time. So everything has that mindset behind it for longevity. And I guess that's where we start looking at things like a Zoomer, where they're doing all of the testing of the products, not just wind and water, but things like salt bath testing, impact testing, knife shear testing, glass product testing now as well. So that portfolio has definitely grown. And it's with that knowledge that we can then apply it back into the products that we look and develop.
Yeah. So just going on to, as you mentioned, we took a stroll through the factory, and I've got to say it's pretty impressive. One of the owners was a toolmaker, did you say?
Correct, yeah. Nigel Long, toolmaker by trade.
Toolmaker by trade,
Yeah.
and as you can see, the innovation, you said You're leaders of innovation. They've got some pretty nifty tools out there that help you manufacture your products, right?
Yep.
So talk to us a little bit about that. How did that come about? First of all, how did the Alchinlong Group come about?
Okay, I think it was an opportunity that was seen to create hardware. That was first. So colonial castings were the first one. And from there, they took a gamble on starting a new business venture to make aluminium hardware for windows and doors. And the two founding fathers, Ray Long and Roy Alchin, had started that process off. And it was through their determination that they actually managed to find a niche area that they could operate into, and started producing handles, hardware, rollers, and that sort of thing for the aluminium industry. So that was the seed that started everything. And I guess as you start building relationships in the industry, people start asking you for things. You know, can you do this for us, or can you develop that, or somebody finds something, and off it goes. You know.
And how long have they been in business now for?
They had their 50th anniversary in 2022. So yeah, that makes them 54 years old. Yeah.
It's a long time in business.
Yeah.
It's a huge milestone
Yep.
to get to that.
Yep.
There's a lot of companies out there that don't even make it past
Yep.
5 years.
And I guess if you look at that, the longevity of the staff that they've had, it's not unusual that you'd go out into the workshop and you're dealing with people that have been with Doric for 20 plus years. That's a testament to the owners and the families. That is a big draw card for people that do want to come and work for somebody like Doric, because you do have a pathway through the industry. Might not necessarily be the same for other companies, but definitely here, you do feel like there is a pathway through. And sometimes things get created as well, right? You might say, right, when I came along, I had the idea of let's do the automation side. And it wasn't something that was done as a whole of house automation, but they saw merit in it, and let's follow that. And I guess this is how innovation keeps going, right? We're not quite sure which way it turns all the time, but we follow it. Yeah.
So I'd probably say that you guys don't follow the innovation. I kind of think that you guys are leading the way in a lot of the innovation, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree with that. We probably set the standard. We feel that we are standard setters. We try really hard to not get pulled into price fighting for a cheaper product. That's not what it's about. It's about quality of product, longevity, and trying to find different ways to do things. One of the focuses that we have is obviously for automation, but it's also, now that you've got the product in there, let's also look at the packaging as well. So, it's the uncool stuff that we think about as well. Changing over from plastics to cardboards and how we present the product back out. That's also a part of the mix, and we find that that's important for us,
So what I'm hearing here is stability and value, and
Yep.
these are all the things that obviously the market desires. Something interesting I just wanted to bring up for most that didn't know, and I didn't know until today. You guys have got a lot of product out there that you manufacture in-house here. We're in Sydney at the moment.
Yep.
But there's also each part that goes into the finished product is numbered, branded, QR coded, have a quality number so that you can draw back to who's manufactured it.
Yep.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that process within the company and what the steps are that you guys are doing to ensure quality does go out the door?
Yep. I guess when we start looking at the journey of a product within Doric, it normally starts in our R&D area. And from there, we do the conceptualization of it. We then go out to get concepts manufactured. That might be through a format of printing or making tooling and actually getting a product off tool sample. And then from there, it goes through our QC team. We've got a pretty big QC team here, not only in the office space, but out in the factory as well. So those guys are responsible for, comparing the drawing when the part comes in to make sure it's within spec. And then once we've got that, then we go into painting, we do the assembly, and each one of those steps has its own QC steps as well. So it is very, very methodical the way it goes through. And we learn from that. We don't always get it right the first time around, but we put those learnings into place and then come back and revise and keep revising it till we've got something that we're happy with to take to market. It is sometimes a slow process. It can take 12 to 18 months to get a product from a concept into your hands to go, right now we're ready to go. And along that way is there's a lot of process checking, materials, pricing. Things change pretty rapidly. You might get a price increase whilst you're developing a product, which then makes it, not viable. So you need to become agile on that. And I think at Doric, we're very good at that. We involve a lot of people early on, and it's that involvement early on that stops us making the mistakes later in the process, which I really like. It's generally between the R&D team, the QC, and the product management, everything is nutted out before we get too far. And then by the time you get the product in your hand, you're ready to go with it. Yeah.
So there's a lot of steps and a lot of processes involved, but at the same token, you guys are quite agile and versatile to be able to move when the market demands you to move. You're not
Yep.
stuck, and the company itself isn't just this big clog or big wheel that takes so much time to slow
Yep.
down. If you've got to pivot, you
Yep.
guys are obviously taking that initiative to pivot.
Yeah, we spoke during our factory walk. We spoke about good, better, and best. Sometimes it's price driven, and we've got the ability to be price effective as well. But quality, I think, is the overarching factor that we strive for. And then, I guess, as we're doing that quality check and the quality assurances along the way, we put that into the process. And by the time that the investment's gone in for doing those steps, we then start talking to our clients and saying, right, how do we help you get that into your product? Because it's fine to have something that works for yourself, but then how do you implement it? How do you get it into other people's systems? How do they draw on it? How do they order it? Where do they buy it from? That's another big step. That's the step that's the hardest one, I think.
And where are you guys manufacturing?
So we do a lot of in-house manufacturing here. We do the paint and the assembly and a lot of processing here, cutting to size. So if we look at the louvres, for instance, we buy some of the materials from overseas. We assemble them here. We paint them in-house and we process it all. We do get materials from all over the world. And basically it's a very long-winded and I guess, no, it's probably not the right way. It's a very careful method of selecting your vendor by visiting, by communicating with them, getting samples backwards and forwards before we'd actually commit to buying stock. Yeah. And then from there, we spoke about us having the involvement in the facility and ownership in the factory. That's very important for us. We don't just rely on someone to supply the product and we get it here and what we get is that's it. No, it's a lot of involvement. We have QC teams overseas as well. Before orders are shipped, we normally get them to go through the container and look at parts, pull the boxes apart and say, right, let's check it. Verniers come out, drawings come out, and if it's not 100%, it doesn't get shipped.
Yeah. So there's a lot of QC processes. I mean, look, I understand, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners would too. Australia doesn't make everything anymore, and we haven't for a lot of the time. But as we've gone through the factory here, and you've been able to show me, there's a lot of processes and a lot of steps and a lot of manufacturing and investment in tooling, staff, and equipment to be able to assemble and manufacture the products to go out to the market.
That's right.
Yep. What's the heavy investments that the company's doing here to keep those processes here in Australia and not just export it out overseas?
Yep. I guess our testing. That's where it starts, right? So you're testing. You want your product to be certified. That's first and foremost, and you want your product to become compliant. So Azuma for us is that. It's independent of Doric. So irregardless that they're at the other end of the driveway, you definitely don't get the service of, it's a product. Can you guys just push it through? It doesn't work like that.
Separate company.
It's separated.
Under the banner, but it's a separate company.
And given that it's a NADA accredited facility, everything is reported on. So generally the way that we do our testing, we'll supply the product down there. They install it, they run the test, you get the opportunity to watch and make adjustments as required, but they are the ones that then run that product through its full paces, and you get your report at the end of it. Now, it seems easy, but there's a lot of steps. We showed you some of the cycle testing, and we've got impact testing, knife shear, wind and water rigs. We do tensile strengths down there. So, it's the old adage, oils ain't oils. Testing isn't just testing.
Yeah.
And the products you get from overseas, they might look like an
Like
Australian product, but inside they perform totally different. Yeah. Yep.
So for those that don't really know what a zoomer is, just briefly, I know we've just touched on the type of testing. What is a zoomer? What is the company Azuma?
So Azuma Designs basically look after NADA. Azuma Designs is a NADA accredited facility that wind and water test. They do a whole range of different accreditation for product, be it salt bath testing, wind and water, impact testing, glass testing as well. And they report back on that. And it's from those learnings that we can apply them back into the product. A really good one, salt bath testing. Corrosion for Australia is an important factor. Everybody lives within 15 k's of the ocean, mostly around Australia. So corrosion for us is a number one contributor to product failure. Mm-hmm. Given that we're in the aluminium industry, it's even more important, right?
Yes.
So things like stainless steels or engineered polymers that we produce, all of that gets taken in consideration when you're making a product. Let's say, for instance, a chain winder. Yep, you've got a stainless steel chain, but what about the actual body? What about the base? It's easy to make it out of a casting. You put that on a sill, it gets wet and it starts corroding. Your chain winder is then useless, right?
Yes.
So we've got products there that we've tested, and you do 4,000 hours in a salt bath with no corrosion on a chain winder cover. That's a big deal for the industry.
Of course.
Whether or not the industry wants to take that on, we spoke about the thought of having something that feels light is not the same value as something that's nice and heavy. Like,
yes.
This is made out of stainless steel. This one is made out of palladium. The two feel totally different. And I gave you the thought of carbon fibre is really light. If it was a carbon fibre one, would that make it better? It's not going to corrode.
Sounds better.
Yeah, sounds better. But changing people's mind and changing people's perception of product is hard to do.
Yeah.
And that's got to be done through product testing, samples, and compliance. And having guys like yourself that take the product in and go, I'm willing to learn about it and apply it to my product and see how it performs. Generally, it's those guys that take that on and become the industry leaders because they've got a good quality product and they've got a good backing there.
I think it's very important to use good hardware and good systems, and particularly having an alignment with another company that values the same values that you do. I mean, you talked about not wanting to be the cheapest. You talked about not trying to compete with the cheapest in the market. You're adding the most value by being the quality product that outstands or outlasts time.
Yep.
And I think that's really important. How much emphasis do you place on engineering and product development within the Alchinlong Group?
From a product management perspective, I'd say almost all. Everything is based around those principles. We don't even think about creating a product that's not going to comply or wouldn't be able to stand the test of time. So that's first and foremost one of the main ticks in the box that you have to have. So yeah, and given that we've got our own in-house R&D team, that makes it a little bit easier. You put it out to the guys, and we have monthly meetings where we sit down and we talk about products and how we're going to get there. And sometimes they come up with some really awesome ideas of how they get a product through, just by changing a technique or the way that we manufacture it. Yeah.
So a little bit earlier, you touched on from product concept to out to the market, it could take up to 12 months. How much time and effort, and then what is the steps on producing a new product to get it out to the market, Niels?
Yep. Something like the Paraflow louver.
Yep, which is what we got here.
This one here. That was a process from day one, maybe 4 years.
Yep.
4 years in the making. And given some of that time was waiting on patent, but a lot of consultation, low-key consultation with our clients, trying to get their understanding of what they need. You know, we said before, it's one thing making something and getting another person to use it, but we need that draw. We need that pull through the industry of a product that's different. Having a Coke and having a Pepsi, again, you know, just a comparison. Pepsi doesn't always do as good as Coke does, but they're similar, right?
Yep.
Paraflow is one of those products there that it really does push the boundaries of how a product is going to get used. And if you think about how hard it is to get someone to change their techniques in their factory, that all has to come part of that whole process of what you're producing. If the guy is putting a retrofit adapter onto a frame and he knows how to do that and he's been doing it for 5 years, don't change it, because he'll be able to do that the same with this product.
Yep.
So they can snap it on. The technology of that hasn't changed. Putting 2 blades of glass into a clip, that's looks simple, but it's not. The way that they rotate around each other, it has to be really well thought out, especially for things like weight, and then how do you retain it in there. So a lot of that came from consultation and talking to people that we looked in the industry as a bit of a go-to or a leader, and getting their input on it, and then coming back and, you know, thrashing it out a few times before you come up with another concept. So yeah, I think we had about 4 or 5 iterations of that one before we came back to number one, which was this one, and we're quite happy with it.
So this one's been about 4 years, you said.
Yep.
So the stages are, you go to market, you ask them what they think of something that you developed, or you ask them on how to make something better or different.
Yeah, a lot of the time it's people come up to us and say, hey, we've got a market need. We need something that's got a higher rating, for higher wind and water rating. And then we go back and say, right, what have we got available to use? Well, our current louvers don't match. The other products that you have in the market might not aesthetically look pleasing, so we don't want those.
Yes.
What can you come up with? And that process can be, sometimes it's really quick. It can be just, you know, a couple of sketches and you're on your way. And a lot of that thought that we have with the initial, you know, what problem are you addressing? The bigger the problem, sometimes the harder it is to come up with a solution. But sometimes this, like this one here, we kind of knew what we wanted to do, and it kind of fell into place. We just made everything double and grow, and it worked. But then you have things like automated doors. You know, automated doors are hard. Commercial doors are massive and they're ugly. So doing something like a residential door, that's taken us 2 or 3 years to get right. I think you saw the very first concept that we had. It was loud, it was slow, and it wasn't quite right, but we came to the market, we put it out there and we said, like, give us feedback on what you think. And from that, we've got a list of about 30 different points that we had to address. Now, each one of those 30 points have been addressed and we're ready to go again. So we expect to come out into the market with another door. So that one is more than 4 years in the making. But you're redesigning something that doesn't exist, and that's hard to do. Yep.
I think it's very important to get that market feedback from people out there in the industry and seeing what they're doing and seeing what their needs are. And there is a lot of companies out there that don't go to market and get that feedback. And in the end, you see products that ultimately fail at the end. I'm not going to name any products in particular, but there is some out there that they've brought out, and it may have captured some things that it needed to sort of meet in the marketplace, but then failed because they're set sizes, or, you know, you can't really work with that on other aspects. Let's talk about this beautiful Louvre, because I know when we opened our showroom a couple of years ago, we had already spoken about it, and you were telling me what you're working on, and I saw it up at Ozfinex, and I think it's an absolutely great Louvre system, particularly for my market in the high-end resi in New South Wales, where you've got lots of high-performing double-glazed windows that are always being coupled with a Louvre that just doesn't hit the mark. I mean, you know, the Louvre, single-bladed Louvres are going to get 4.3, 4.5 on a U value, but your fixed windows down at 2.4, 2.5. Talk to us. This particular Louvre, Niels, tell us a little bit about it.
So when we came up with the initial concept of this particular Paraflow louver, it was all about span and high water rating. So for us to get a span over a metre was critical because our current louver couldn't get there. So this one has now been tested to 1150 blade, which is roughly a 1200 opening. So 1.2 metre opening without having pins through the glass to support it. It allows us to then use a standard product glass, which is again a commodity item in the glass industry. Everyone's got access to it. So we really don't want people to have to change the way that they're doing their day-to-day installs.
So we can just buy glass from our standard glass supplier. We don't have to buy glass from you guys?
No, that's right. We're not a glass supplier, and we urge people to use who they're comfortable with.
Yep.
It's all about the relationships, right? So if you're comfortable with buying your glass from, let's say, Viridian or from Watson's or Superform, it doesn't really matter. As long as the glass is compliant in your mind and you've got the product that you've got in your V6 system and you're able to draw on, then you can install it into this product. So that was one of the key features. We spoke earlier about, what is the list that makes up the parts of the concept that you're trying to address. How do we fix that issue? One was glass types. Everybody wants to use different glass types. Laminates are thicker than normal monolithics. So we've allowed this product to utilise different thicknesses of laminated glass. The way that we insert holds everything in place. These can be adjusted and the clips can be removed. So if something gets damaged on site, you're removing a clip rather than the whole window again.
Wow.
So yeah, that definitely saves on time. Installing it on site's a lot more pleasurable because you're just dropping the glass in. You don't even have to force it.
Yeah.
So it's really simple install. Yeah. And then the spans, what was important for us, we wanted to be able to fit into any opening. So we're not restricted in widths. So we're incremental and also in height. We can do a top clip loose. So that was really critical for us. Most buildings around the country change because of the brick course sizes.
Yes.
So we had to be, cognizant of that it allowed us to have those changes in the system.
Yeah. And are they manual, automatic?
We have both.
Yep.
So I'm really passionate about the home automation side.
Yes.
But understanding not everyone wants that.
Yes.
It may be in a scenario where you can't have automation. So a manual handle or automated is possible in both.
Yep. And talk about, so we know, well, I know, and a lot of guys in the industry would also know that commercial buildings, apartments, class 2, high wind, high water, high pressures, what sort of ratings are these louvers able to get?
Yep. So we've done wind and water testing on the maximum size louvers that we've got. So 21 blades high, 1150 wide. And then we've done 3 different sizes of those, so 21 blades and 17s, down to 900 mil blade widths, and we're getting water ratings of 450 PA, 6 kPa wind loading on those. Air infiltration was the big one for us. Full louvers, you've got to fall under the 5 litres per minute per metre squared, and this one came in at 0.71.
Wow.
So yeah, that was shocking when we saw it. And when you were on the right track, because you can generally tell when you close the window, you can hear it.
It seals.
The difference, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a bit of a Rolls Royce. When you close the door, it's a proper solid seal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that really impressed us.
So talk about this 450 Pascal.
Yep.
What size are the louvers to reach that?
450, I think it was 1 metre wide.
Yep.
Yep. And the way that we did this testing, we had a very short amount of time to do 7 lots of tests. So we put it in, put the glass in, turn the rig on, run it up, get the pass, take the frame out, next one goes in. So there's no adjusting, no mucking around with the glass or glass types. It's first one goes in, that's the result we got. So our plan was to come out with a result that we knew was repeatable. And that's always something that we're quite aware of, repeatability on testing. And we are now going back again in the next 2 months, doing another round of testing to see if we can finesse it a little bit more.
Yep.
We've got a couple of new colours coming through. Sorry, not new colours, new clip technology in the back, and also the overcamming of the handle. So we're going to be trialling that, and we think that will give us a better result as well. Yeah.
And at that size, Is there any other louver on the market that matches that performance?
You do get products there that can, with the solid bars across the back, like a safety line Jalusi would definitely be able to do that, but it's a different look.
I'm talking about sleek, glass only, no bars, no screens, just a louver like you tested in that rig. Yeah. Nothing else on the market.
Not at that size.
Wow.
So what you saw at Ozphenix was what we've tested. That was the same size frame of what we had in the rig.
It was 450.
Yep.
That was quite a big louver.
Yep, that's massive.
Yeah. Yep. And there's no mechanical pins, there's no anything like that. You don't need to glue the blades in.
No.
Right.
You drop the blades in, the insert caps get installed, and that's it. You close it up and you're done.
It's just, I think that's, and what about the U values that you're going to be able to achieve with this louver?
So with U values, depending on where the product's getting installed.
Yes.
So our initial release to market was in a 100 or 150 mil commercial frame.
Yep.
So we're quite aware that that's got its limitations as well.
Of course.
But we were getting 3.6 U value in an aluminium frame.
Yes.
And then people were asking us, can we put this into timber as well? Yes. We don't have any calculations on the timber side.
Yes.
But what we've done is we've given the drawings to the clients there to go and get their own WERS calculations done.
Yes.
And people are doing that. And we've also got the tier ones that are developing their own thermally broken systems to cater to this particular product. Yeah.
Because you'd like to think that if they have a thermally broken frame with the thermal breakout, whether it's in the centre or outside, it's going to transfer less of the heat.
Absolutely.
And your blades, because you've got the dual blades, it's going to perform quite well.
And acoustics wise, it was the first acoustic test that I actually did down with CSIRO in Melbourne.
Yes.
And I was with Lucas Hicks at the time, head of R&D, and we had the product installed. And if you've ever seen one of these chambers, an acoustic chamber, it's a bit eerie. It's a concrete box. It's like 10 by 10 cube. Your product goes in the middle, and they have microphones on the other side of the wall and a noise generator. And it's just a lot of weird noises that happen. And we started the test, and I said to the guy at the time, we want to start recording, just do a little video. So when the rig is up and running, just let us know, and then we can open and close it and see what the difference is. And he made mention, it's already on. And we were like, really? So we had 2 bits of 6 mil toughened in on a 14 blade sample, so quite big. And when we opened it up, it was just like, freight train outside the window, close it back up, and we've got a nice little video about that.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where I realised, shit, we've actually got something pretty incredible here.
Yeah, because a single pane of glass doesn't perform very well, particularly with the sound noise, mean noise reduction, right? And that also comes from the low air infiltration numbers that you're receiving. Yeah,
the minutest little gap in the corner there, definitely you could hear sound coming out of handle trims.
Yeah.
We've addressed all of those little things again.
Yes.
So we mentioned that there are products coming to, we're always innovating on that thing. So we won't rest with what we've got. So things like handle trims, different glass types, different locks, the motor controller on the inside, all of that gets changed. But always with the idea of we want to be better.
Oh, you know what? It's really refreshing to hear. I can actually see the passion coming off you, which is why I wanted to do this podcast with you, Niels. You guys aren't just bringing a product to market and going, right, we've got a product now, let's just sell it and just sit there. You're actually on the forefront and going, okay, we've got a good product, it performs well. How do we make it better?
Yeah.
What was the acoustics? What acoustic ratings that you were getting from that test?
Yeah, I think we got up to 32 RW for that.
Yep.
So from 28 to 32. Given that 6 mil is not very good at stopping sound.
Yes.
That 38 mil gap that we have in the back of the blade also serves a purpose to get cleaning in there, but that 38 mil gap made a big difference.
Massive.
So to go from, I think from memory it was about 25 RW for a standard louver to 28 doesn't sound a lot, but it's generally it's a big step.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 points is a lot.
It is.
But yeah.
So tell me, what was it like when you first went to the CSIRO when you did that test?
It was pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like we'd committed by then. We had
you were
tooled
strapped
samples. We were in, and
Yeah.
the ride was on. But yeah, we went there with the idea, right, we're going to test the 7 different glass types. So we did laminates and acoustic laminates and low E's, and even the testing managers down there, they were like, it just looks so normal, but it looks so different at the same time.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Give us a bit of a sorry to cut you off. Right, you've never been to CSIRO before. You've gone down. You're testing a product that you've been working on for how long? Have you been working on this?
At that point, it was about three and a half years.
Did you start? Were you involved in the very beginning of this product?
From
the start, from day one. So it's somewhat like your baby, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're about to take it to a crash test facility.
Yep.
So what does that facility look like? How big is it?
So the facility itself is about 10 metres by 10 metres across, 10 metres tall.
Yeah.
And it's suspended on a sprung floor. So when you walk in, there's these big doors, about 1/2 metre thick. You're locked in there. You can hear your own heartbeat. It's a really eerie feeling.
Yeah.
And for 2 guys to have walked down there that have never been in one, it felt bizarre. And then we put the window in between, so it's a window in between both concrete cubes. And then on the outside of that other product, so on the outside of the window is where all the noise gets generated. And they have a series of microphones that spin around inside the room, like Star Trek.
So it's like a panic room, but space aged.
Yep. And then you're left inside there at the start of the test, so you can actually verify that it's running.
Yep.
And it ramps up. So it's a mix of white noise and auto noises, like buses and trucks and trains. It sounds really weird, but all of it comes at once, and it's quite loud.
Yeah.
And then, you get to operate your product. They have to sit there and witness it, you actually opening it. I guess they don't want people to seal the window up, and, it's got to be usable.
Yes.
So they'll test it at the start. You operate it, show them, then they ask you to leave the room. And then at the end of the test, you've got to operate it again, make sure nothing's displaced or dislodged. But it was at that point when we opened the window up and it was already running. It was really overwhelming. It was like, oh my God, this is a game changer for us. And it was, we knew then that we were onto something good.
And where do you see the product going?
We mentioned this was
without
step
giving
one.
too much away.
Yeah, we mentioned that this was step 1 for us. We are 2 or 3 more steps ahead.
Yeah.
The way that we're looking at the window industry now is with the idea of it's got to get bigger. Glass is getting thicker. Glass is getting heavier. So all of that has to come into the new design. And what we're looking at is we want to be able to offer a solution to any avenue of the market. So let's say, for instance, commercial is not something that Doric has been particularly strong in, the commercial product offer. That is something that's definitely an avenue that we're pursuing quite aggressively as well. So with this particular Paraflow product, but with the automation that's coming. We spoke about double hung automation, the power strut windows that we have. There's a lot of work already being put into that. And I guess brushless technology for us is the avenue that we're looking at. And again, that's something that's not normally done in Australia. Normally you would buy a product off the shelf and try and figure out how you can use that in your own product.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We look at it the other way. We work with someone who's a supplier of a product and say, this is what we need you to build. This is how we're going to use it. And then generally they're on the back foot as well going, well, we're not sure how we can make that happen. We've used a company here in Australia for the sliding motor, the sliding door motor. And even they were surprised that we can get it to work. So we are really creative on our approach for that sort of automation.
Yep.
And it's very exciting to see.
That also comes from the culture within the business and having the right people working in the company, right? So there must be some extremely smart people like yourself working here.
I wouldn't say I'm
not
extremely
just
smart, but
it wouldn't be just you. But when I do say that, you do have to take a compliment, because I remember building the showroom and I said to you, hey, I want to put a gas strut here and I want to put some automated louvres here, and you know what would be really cool, Niels? It'd be cool if I could just talk to it like Alexa and make it all open.
Yeah.
What did we do?
Yeah, we did it.
We did it, you know. And how is that? And I have to say to those out there that aren't using the Ventus products, they should start to look into them, in my opinion, because the automation side of it can be quite costly.
Yep.
But you guys have done it in such a way where it isn't. Yes, it is more expensive than a manual operation, but in my opinion, it isn't astronomical like a lot of other products out there.
Yeah, it's not a step too far.
No.
Yeah.
And how are you guys doing that with voice activation, and what's involved in that from your side of things?
If you look at the industry currently, everyone's got their own phone apps, right? And this is generally the approach that people take. They're very insular, inward-looking, siloed approach. We don't look at it that way. We say, right, you know, where are we planning to sell it? And it's going to be everywhere. We want to become global with this product. So then you have to start thinking, right, you know, if my phone app is going to work in Australia, will it work somewhere like in the States? Different laws, different regulations. So we've taken that approach and said, right, we need to come from the States back, because their technology is more in line with what we do security-wise. So we've taken on a product, an app, a third-party app, but then we start looking at, you know, who are the big players in Australia? Clipsal is one, right? Clipsal are specified everywhere. So we have a look at the Clipsal portfolio, and it's evident there they've got companies that utilise this specific brand of phone app. And then you start looking at this phone app company and going, well, you know, they're everywhere. They're global already, and they're aligned with what Australia's doing, and they're aligned with all the countries that we're looking to participate with. So that's a good fit. And then we approach them, and they're usually taken aback at first when you suggest what you're wanting to do, but they can see merit in it. So we find it's easy to get them on board, and it seems to be logical for them as well. So we take a lot of that product and we embed it into ours. So we take that technology, embed it into our technology, make the two talk, and then offer it out into a product that will then communicate with everything that we're thinking of. Now, this is not just windows and doors. It could be a fireplace, a TV, your fridge, your lighting, or your outdoor Louvre pergola.
Yeah.
So all of that is capable of being coupled in. The industry did a bit of a U-turn in 2022 with a product compliance called MATTR. That's where everyone who manufactures electrical products with a phone app or Wi-Fi or Bluetooth technology has to communicate together. And globally, the top 32 manufacturers all agreed, a bit like, you know, meaning of the giants, they all agreed that they're going to start operating off this platform. So it's QR code driven. So you scan the QR code, it then embeds all its technology into the app, and it communicates with its product without any connection. You might remember your one where we had a lot of issues at first trying to get it to start.
Yeah.
All of that is gone now. So you basically open up your app, you pick the products that you want. So in our case, you would go to the Ventus automation, you would hit that prompt, and then it would list all the products that are available for you to automate. And then as soon as you automate, all of the remotes are ready to go. You're connected directly into the Ethernet, so your configuration is done for you, and then it's, hey Google, open my window, or hey Google, close my door. So that's where we're at.
It sounds so simple, but I guarantee you to
not.
get to that point would have been a lot of work and a lot of investment.
Yeah, a lot of one thing I'm particularly aware of is that it's a risk, right? It's a risk to someone like Doric going out and doing something like this. I don't ever feel that the businesses turn around and say, mate, you're taking it too far. They are on the journey as well. Automation for Doric is something that they're really passionate about, and the group is pushing really, really hard for that. So much so that we've got our group innovations manager. We're trolling all over the globe looking for new technologies that we can implement and look at for shared ideas. And we're working with people all over the world to work with them on getting product in. So we mentioned we're in the Philippines. We've got a client there that's pretty heavy into automation. We've got them in Fiji. We've got products getting shipped to the States, where we're working with the States, where the guys are installing power struts there with our control platform. So it's working. It's working well.
There's a lot of logistics to be able to ship internationally or manufacture internationally. There's a lot of moving parts, right?
It is. Yeah.
How do you guys keep a handle on all of that?
It's hard. We've got a pretty good customer service team, and you saw the warehouse next door. We've got people that are trained in that area to do. So we already have companies. So Doric is already international. So we have offices around the world already. So we know how to do the shipping there. But places like the States, that becomes a little bit more complicated. Tyranny of distance is hard to ship. Yep.
I did see something on social media. You guys were over there installing a Paraflow Louvre in Fiji.
Yep.
Talk to me about that.
That was we have a new distributor in Fiji. So we're doing, our approach is hands-on.
Yep.
Same came out to your showroom.
Yep.
We wouldn't expect that any different for anybody else. So I do travel there. Where you're the glass guy, I'm the Louvre guy.
It's a level of service, a commitment.
Yep. And the reason why we do that is if we're expecting these guys to come on board with Doric, what do we do? What do we bring to the table to make it worthwhile for them to take our product on? And it's a long dance, right?
Yeah.
It's something that starts years in advance before it gets to that point. With the Philippines, I've been going there since 2012. And with Fiji, we've been dealing with the guy since probably 2014.
Yeah.
So it's something that you work at. But once it's in place and once you do that groundwork, that old adage of teach a man how to fish, you'll never go hungry, it's the same.
Yeah.
We go there, we make sure that they've got all the parts, we support them with marketing documentation, with certification for products. Every question's got an answer for it. And that's really critical to make them comfortable with the product and let them go and install it. So
it's definitely standing by your products.
Yeah.
Not just making something and selling it. It's actually adding value and standing by it.
Yeah. So getting a WhatsApp and WeChat used a lot, and I do video calls with the guys all the time. Like places like Fiji, Malaysia, Thailand, we're heavily involved in those regions now.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a little difficult for them to fit it into their standard offering. The frames that they use are different than what we have. They're more like, some of them are curtain walls. You'd imagine countries like Thailand would have a pretty specific scenario. They're pretty advanced with their commercial framing, and we're putting louvres into those. So you've got to be across each one of those regions is approached a little different. Yep. So Fiji again was something a little different. They don't have a glass toughening facility there, so the options for glazing for them is a little bit more restricted. But just about every window is a louver.
Yeah.
So it's proven a good opportunity. Yep.
Yeah, nice. Look, Niels, I really have enjoyed sitting down and chatting to you about the products here. I wanted to just thank you for your time and really appreciate speaking to me on the episode.
Been great. Thank you.